Welcome to this edition of the First Aid Show. And we've covered dealing with adults, we've covered dealing with children, and what we're going to do in this episode is look at the differences. And this is the differences within a physical point of view, as the child's less developed and younger, but also on the emotional side. So what we're dealing with here is an infant, but what sort of different things are there when we're dealing with infants or children than there would be with dealing with adults?
Obviously, first off is the emotional attachment that we have to children, and especially infants. You're going to approach the patient not only as a medical problem, but also you're going to bring all your emotional baggage with them. They are incredibly scary to look after. So looking after a child is unnerving, but looking after an infant is completely scary. So you almost have to park that to one side and try and manage through it, but you're going to bring it with you to look after the child.
So if you're dealing with an infant in this example here, do they have a quicker drop-off period when they're getting unwell?
Definitely. Your children, the older the child, they do have some form of reserve, but children such as somebody this smart, this small, has very, very little reserve. So they're going to become ill and they'll show you the signs, but then they'll become very, very ill, and it's almost like a ledge. They'll just drop straight off that ledge very, very quickly. So you have to be able to catch them very quickly, decide what's wrong with them, or if you don't know what's wrong with them, call for help very quickly. And what sort of things are we looking for, signs and symptoms, just looking at this baby? So initially the first one most people think about is meningitis. So you're looking at a form of rash. So it's a rash that doesn't disappear when you put, say, a glass over the top of it and press down. So it's a non-blanching rash. A child can become quite hot quite quickly. So in this sort of weather in the summer, you're going to have them dressed quite coolly, but in the winter you're going to wrap them up really warm, and they're going to get very, very hot very quickly. Think about, are they too hot? Are they too cold? Do I need to put another layer off, put a layer on, take a layer off? Those sort of things.
What about sort of things like respiration, pulse rate? Are they easy to detect?
Obviously you can see the child is breathing quite well at the moment. Respiratory rate is about 40. Now children, we breathe an average between 8 and 12, depending on what we're doing. If we're in the garden and doing some exercise, we might go up to 18 or 20. But a child of this size, their respiratory effort, as you can see, is going to be a lot quicker than ours. So you're talking about 35 to 40. And that's normal for somebody this small. So that's something you don't think that they're incredibly unwell, that's just normal. Their pulse as well, our pulses are generally between 80 and 90 as a resting, depending on how fit you are. If you're incredibly fit, your resting pulse is 60. A child of this size, their resting pulse can be 120, 130. If you're going to treat or look after a child of this size, you need to know what is normal for them.
So looking at normal is quite important. So whether you're a first aider or working in the hospital or just a parent, knowing that basic normals are very good.
Yeah.
So you know when something's different.
Yeah. And if you're the parent, or you've been called to assist with a child or a baby and you have the parent with them, the parent will know what's normal. So listen to the parent. They will tell you if there's something wrong. And they normally are right.